Welcome to episode 108 of the Left Behind Game Club. This week, we play Katana Zero. You can find all things Left Behind Game Club at leftbehindgame.club, on Instagram at Left Behind Game Club, and on Twitter at Left Behind Club. If you like what you've heard, you can do us two favors. Send the show to a friend and leave us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. It really helps. Without further ado, here's Katana Zero. Let's get right into it. You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club. Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have two friends with me. The first friend, you know him, you love him. His name is Michael Ruffalo.
I'm excited to talk about a very cool game.
We are talking about a cool video game with my second friend, Shenron the Dragon himself, Mo Matadi.
We're going to get like a trademark strike or something there. It's Mo, guys. What's going on? It's not Shenron. Don't take it. Don't attack us, Dragon Ball Z.
Today we are playing Katana Zero, a game developed by Askiisoft, published by Devolver Digital, released on Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, which was first released on April 18th of 2019. Gentlemen, I'm going to start the show the way we start the show every time with our fast pitch, which is a one-sentence pitch on this game. Who wants to give us their one-sentence pitch first?
I got it. I'm going to go first. It is
all right, Mikey, it's all you.
It is a side-scrolling Hotline Miami.
Dang, he stole mine.
I think you stole all three because like it's exactly what it is. It's Hotline Miami version 2, and you're focusing on a sword. A fast-pitched platformer where the adrenaline doesn't stop. I don't know. That's my little mini modification.
Side-scrolling samurai takes drugs and controls time. There's my pitch.
Okay,
Literally stole my pitch, Mike. This game is Hotline Miami with a sword. But I want to know, what did you know about Katana Zero before I said, hey, we should play Katana Zero for the podcast?
The only thing that I knew was that it was a Devolver Digital game, so I knew it was going to ooze style. But I did not realize just how close it would be to Hotline Miami. Another Devolver Digital game. I think the most Devolver Digital game I think that was the first time I ever really knew about Devolver was through Hotline Miami. And so I associate them extremely closely in my mind. But yes, that's the only thing that I knew about this game. It was a Devolver game.
Mo, what'd you know?
Pretty much what Mike knew, but a little bit less. So Devolver Digital doesn't immediately ring a bell to me when I hear that name. So I did the usual quick research, Katana Zero, what is it? And I saw Hotline Miami being shown as the same development studio. I was like, as soon as I saw that, I remembered how much I enjoyed Hotline Miami, and it had my interest. So when you guys were like, let's play it, I loved Hotline Miami. It definitely earned that second chance for me to check out the game.
Yeah, and I first checked out the game with friend of the show, Travis Colnut. We both went to, I think it was PAX East in 2019. It was about a month before the game came out, and they had a huge display in the middle of the floor, and Travis was immediately drawn to it because it looked really cool and had VHS effects as part of the style of the game. So I knew about it before it came out, but when it hit Game Pass, I was like, okay, this is the game that I'm going to play now. It was the first game I played on my Xbox Series X, and I am really happy that I played it. So I played it on a combination of Xbox One S to Xbox Series X, thanks to Xbox Game Pass. How did y'all play it?
I had it on the Switch. It was on sale, I think, when I picked it up, so that was another little bonus. And I'm actually surprised. I played it mostly on the mobile version because I love just locking into the Switch, just being in that fast-pitched flow with it. And then I played it on the dock a couple times on the big screen, and it didn't feel the same. I kind of was I just want to play it off of the portable version again.
That's so funny, Mo, because so I'm in the middle of a move right now. And I don't have a setup where I have a free TV that I could hook up a console to. So I am using the newly released xCloud streaming on my phone with a Xbox Elite controller with a phone mount on it.
Cool,
so I was
cool.
playing it with an Elite Xbox controller, I don't know, probably a foot or two away from my face, staring at about a 5-inch phone. And I was really, really surprised at how well it performed, and how much it worked.
That sounds
I'm
really
gonna
cool.
I'm gonna have to try that because I have not played. What is the new name for xCloud? Like the proper name? It's like Xbox Game Streaming or something. Unimportant, but I need to try it on that because you're holding your mount, no one can see it, but like that seems like a very cool way to play the game.
Yeah, it was. It worked way, way better than I was expecting. And I think the thing. So I mean, I guess this is also part a review of the xCloud streaming, but it was really responsive. There wasn't really stutter or lag. It worked really, really well. And as I'm sure you guys know, there are a lot of graphical glitches in this game. And at first I wasn't sure if that was the game streaming. But no, that's actually the game. And then there are also moments where it requires, really fast twitch movement. And I thought, oh, maybe the reason I'm getting this wrong is because of the input lag or the delay. But nope, it was because I was tackling it the wrong way.
Because you're terrible at video games?
That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I know something about being bad at video games. So welcome to my world.
I was actually gonna ask Mike about like the latency and like, because there's some levels when I was playing it, I'm like, I need to be exact, like three pixels over. As soon as I cross this guy's path, I have to deflect and then roll. And like, I'm thinking like in a small screen that might be tricky, but with like low latency, if you miss a jump and it's like not your fault, that might be frustrating. Yeah,
well, it definitely becomes muscle memory. Like at a certain point, I didn't even need to look at the screen. I just knew what I had to do. I had to kick through the door, crush this person, then slow down time, deflect the bullet, drop down, and throw a Molotov cocktail. And I just learned the button combination.
So we've kind of talked around what this game is. We mentioned, hey, it's like Hotline Miami. You're talking about deflecting bullets and, pixel perfect precision when you're controlling your character. Could we just dive in and talk about what this game is, how you play it, what the gameplay is like? Because we said side-scrolling Hotline Miami game with a sword, but I think there's more to it than that.
I'll take a crack. Fill in the gaps where you guys think. But so yeah, it's a 2D platformer. Where you play this samurai sword wielding, I guess, samurai, because he looks like he seems to be wearing the same like garb as a samurai would, and it's in that like 16-bit Hotline Miami style where it's like cartoony, super retro looking with like retro music and like techno music as well. And what you're doing is you're almost like fulfilling these contracts where you're looking for like killing a high value target, whether it's an assassin or whatever it might be. And before every round, you seem to be speaking to like a therapist who's kind of talking to you about what you're reliving. You're kind of treading the water, like you're stepping between like, is this real life? Is my character going through some PTSD? Is this maybe all a hallucination in their head? There's drugs involved, so that kind of plays into what's going on. And the whole game is like a fast-paced murdering assassin targets while you're trying to figure out if what's happening in real life is real or not. And that's where those glitching things that Mike was talking about come into play. So a lot of things happening, but you're a drugged out samurai trying to kill high value targets.
I think that's a really good summary. I think what I would add is that it takes place in this neo alternate reality shortly after Vietnam, where one of the key turning points in Vietnam was not the use of napalm and other chemical warfare, but chemical warfare in the way of creating an army of super soldiers who could control time and continue to fix their mistakes.
And I think that the war that you're referring to was called the Cro-Mag War, and the country is called New Mecca. But you guys nailed it. It's about drugs. It's about a man called Subject Zero. It's got that neo-noir style. It is fast. The input that you need is huge. You don't have a health bar, and some of the mechanics include like slowing down time, which is one of the side effects of the drugs that you're on. The drug is called Chronos. We find that out later in the game. But it's all about deflecting bullets, slowing down time, dodge rolling attackers, and making your way through a bunch of contracts that involve like, 6 to 15 rooms of getting to the target and taking them out. The thing that really surprised me, though, is I didn't expect, like, and maybe I should have, given the game Hotline Miami was, but I wasn't expecting the story that we got. And I also wasn't expecting, like, the dialogue system that was in the game. Like, that to me was the biggest surprise. Do you want to explain the kind of the dialogue system?
Yeah, sure. Like, within each conversation, you have, like, the options to, like, deviate your conversation to a certain way, or, like, cut off the conversation abruptly and be abrasive. With, like, in the therapist situation, you can, like, cut off this conversation with him asking what's going on with your dreams by saying, "Give me my meds now. Like, I'm over this." So you kind of get that path. This was one of, like, not the best parts of the game for me. The reason being, I found that I was choosing, like, natural conversation, like what I would kind of pick in that situation if I was, like, a traumatized samurai, whatever it might be. So I was picking the easier, like, path, not abrasive, like, going through... Yeah, essentially. And then I found that a lot of times it was forcing you to go to that, like, abrasive nature, and it wasn't as, like, natural. It would have been kind of cool for them to, like, in the conversation show the guy getting frustrated, but there was always a path to be nice, and once you went to that path, it's like, okay, that's not an option anymore. You have to be angry now. So maybe I didn't have the same experience as everyone, but there's a lot of times when I felt I was just guided towards a more aggressive, drug-crazed conversation, which maybe I didn't want in that specific flow or the gameplay that I was going with.
I feel like this game is the closest experience I'll ever have to being Mo, where I did not read, I did not pay too much attention to what the story was. I just killed. I killed, I slashed, I threw knives at people, I threw bottles at people, I threw smoke bombs at people, I threw Molotovs at people, I slowed down time, I deflected their bullets back at them, and I did not care for what the story was, other than that there was a cute little kid who you were trying to protect.
So, full disclosure, my original self was trying to just plow through, but I knew I was going to get attacked if I didn't, like, try to go through the story, try to go through the conversation. So when you guys fill in the gaps of what was going on, I could at least keep up. But Michael, I swear, part of me just wanted to, like, smash A, and then get to the next level, because I love the puzzle aspect of each round. Like, yeah. Once you went through one, like, spin of the level you're on, you're like, okay, I got this. The hardest part is person X. I'll save maybe a Molotov for them, and you're just like, it once you get into a flow, I love that. I didn't really care about the story that much either. I was in the same boat as you.
Same. As much as it was super stylish, I just didn't care.
Did you find the game difficult? Because I would play this game in, like, 20-minute sessions, and I always found myself, like, maybe moving ahead, like, 2 or 3 rooms, and then, like, getting stuck, and then doing the thing where, like, I stop playing, I leave, and then I think my brain, like, solves it while I'm not playing, and then I come back to it. Like, I couldn't imagine playing this game, like, over a, like, very, very tight window, because I don't know if it would be pleasant.
I don't want to jump in right away, but yes and no. I really liked the difficulty of this game, but I don't even think it was difficult at all, because, like, every character you're fighting is one strike away from dying. You just have to remember that pattern for that character. So if there's a room with 3 of them, that adds a level of complexity where you can't just strike, because you can only strike within every, like, second or whatever it might be. So it's all preparation. If you just figure out everyone's weakness, I feel like you can clear the room so quickly. If you have a time crunch, maybe this game gets a little frustrating, because for me, I spent a couple sessions in it. Like, I have, like, I'll play an hour, and the only reason I would stop is because, like, I want to do something else, like, in the day or whatever it be. So I'm like, okay, I progressed past this level, I'll stop, I'll come back to it. I know how to beat it, but I'll get it, like, later on in the day when I have 15 minutes, and I know I just need, like, the 2 or 3 minutes of focus, and I can beat this round.
It's kind of weird, because I don't think that this game is that hard, but I think it took me longer to beat than it probably took Jacob and maybe even you, Mo, because I just didn't find it that frustrating when I wasn't making progress. I just knew, like, I just needed to continue, and the barrier to restarting the level is so low. It's just tapping the A button twice, or tapping any button twice, that just getting back in, going over and over and over was actually, I think, like, pretty easy. It didn't add a lot of stress. The only times that I felt frustrated by it was when I couldn't tell what I needed to do to get past something. There was one point with the final boss where I looked up, like, how do you get past this? And I realized, oh, this thing that I tried and didn't work, you could actually end up doing it.
My major positive is what you just talked about, Mike. So you had to look up that final thing. I'm in the process right now with the games I'm playing. They're kind of like challenging to like repetitive games. Right now I'm playing one of the new Demon Souls. And that one in itself is like, you can speed run it if you wanted to, if you knew exactly how to play it. I'm slowly learning that. I didn't do much research for it, and I've been realizing you just have to like be okay with the chaos. If you just slow yourself down and like, okay, it's a 1v1, like you can just move around this guy, he's dead kind of thing, that becomes like a state of mind you have. And I applied it to this game where like I'm going to a room and I'm like, oh, you're resetting me like 10 seconds ago. Easy peasy. Demon Souls is sending me to the front of the bridge every single time. So it's one of those things where if you're okay with like, hey, it's fine. Like you have the tools to get to that point. You can get there very fast, even though you're redoing it. Now it's like it's a rhythm game. This game is a pure rhythm puzzle game. If someone was going to name it something.
I completely agree with you, Mo. I think it's so funny that you bring up Demon Souls because it's been kind of a contentious debate between, I guess, the three of us in our community as to whether Demon Souls should have difficulty levels. I honestly, I think the reason I love those Souls type games is because, you know, your character rarely ever gets stronger, right? It isn't like you're progressing by unlocking new things or getting new abilities, etc., etc. It's just you as a player are gaining mastery over the tools in the game, the movement of your character, the abilities within it. And that level of mastery I find is way more rewarding than, you know, unlocking more hearts or gaining more stamina. You know, recently I've been playing Breath of the Wild, and when I watch people take down a Lionel with like 4 or 5 boomerangs, and they could have done that at the beginning of the game the moment they got those weapons. It was not about what things they unlocked that allowed them to do it. It's about the mastery that they have over it. And that, to me, I think is the most rewarding, coolest part of it. I love solving those puzzles.
Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to, like, do you like puzzles? If you like puzzle games, it's something you're going to like Portal. It's a puzzle game. Like, it gives you the tools you need and you can advance. But if, like, there's a lot of people that just don't like to like do those little puzzles, like building Legos and like connects and things like that. It's just not entertaining for them. To them, it's just frustrating. I can see where this game is like, it's a great game. It looks, Demon Souls looks great. Hotline Miami looks great, but I don't want to stress out when I play video games. This is me like 3 years ago, pretty much. Now it's like I'm really into these like micro puzzles and like these things that you can just step by step destroy easily, like calm down. But it gives you so much chaos and like anxiety when you're playing them because so many things are happening. It's like I have to be exact. It's like, no, you don't. Just step at a time. And once you get over that hump, I think you start enjoying these types of speedrun difficult games. If you don't want to go that hump, that's fine too, because we have so many games we have access to. It doesn't have to be a genre you want to go into, but if you do, it's a great genre, and I think it's going to be rewarding for almost anyone if they want to dabble into that path.
Yeah, I would just add, like, I think the thing that video games are really good at is teaching. And I think these types of games are really good at making you feel comfortable with failure, because you're expected to fail over and over and over, that in the process of failing so often, you gain that mastery. Your learning curve just, you know, is a lot higher because no one's holding your hand through it. You just have the ability to fail without any real consequence over and over and over. Like you said, Mo.
Yeah, and
I lose, I'm going to go back 10 seconds. Big deal.
And what I think is incredibly cool is there's like a narrative justification as to why like your character is able to do this, which I think is just like an even cooler thing. Because in Hotline Miami, like there wasn't, and again, that's like not a problem at all. It's just like another cool layer. And do you guys think I like this game? Because I just want to see, like, it's difficult. It was challenging. Do you think I liked it?
I think you're more positive on it than you are negative, but I don't know if you would say, like, this is an 8 out of 10. I really, really like this game.
Yeah, I don't want to seem like I'm also standing here, Jacob, as like, this is like the best game ever. I have like just a quick little spoiler alert. I think it's a great game, but I liked Hotline Miami. I'll just do a little teaser there before I summarize it in the end. So I'm not a full, like, this is the greatest game, everyone drop everything and play it. But for you, Jacob, I think you're kind of in that same mindset because we have played Hotline Miami. It was pretty enjoyable, and I think we're all going to be comparing it to that. And it's like, I don't know for me if it reached that, and my guess for you is maybe it didn't reach that as well.
I love this game.
Oh, wow.
I think the story was like thin but like surprising as to like how much I enjoyed it. The aesthetic was great, the music was great, and just like I want to talk specifically about the feel. Like the feel of like rolling when you're slow-mo, deflecting a bullet with your sword, and then like killing a man with the deflected bullet and then rolling past and murdering someone else was like so satisfying. And it didn't matter if I had to do it like 20 different times to get it. It was just so fun. And having like the dialogue be the way it was and like the story kind of be a little bit cool with some layers to it, like this game is great. Like I love this game.
Really, I'm kind of surprised to hear that you love this game because I feel like
I loved it.
If you can like this game, you can like a Souls game. I honestly don't think they're that far apart. I really don't. I don't think they're that far apart. It's a similar mentality. To your point though about how stylistic and cool the kills were, I think the really nice touch was at the end of each level. They give you a replay at full speed of your character like going through and demolishing the room or demolishing that frame or that panel. And they weren't always the most stylistic. You know, there are times where my character's waiting at the other side of the door for the guy to walk up so I can like open the door, crush him with it, and move on to the next part. But on the whole, there are some really, really cool highlight reel moments.
I love that mechanic, Mike. There's like in the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, I've cleared like 3 guys in a couple of rooms. It's not a cool kill. I don't want to see it again. So you fast track through it. But there was some like later game levels where they don't show you the replay right away. You have to go through like a bunch of elevators kind of thing. And at the end, it just shows you everything you just did. Or when you have those moments where it's like, how did I get past this room? It was just chaos. Your body's just remembering to roll, remembering to deflect, and you clear a big thing. And once you finally clear it, you're like, you exhale, and then it's like, do you want to see a replay? It's like, of course. That was insane. So for me, I'd love watching kind of like a quick replay of what was going on. It's like that, I don't know how I did that, so I need to see it in slow motion because it was just jerking and like timing and planning kind of thing. I loved it.
Even little stuff like the upward slash that like murders a fool. Like there are very few things that don't feel incredibly satisfying, and even some of the boss battles, which like, let's say one of the boss battles had like 10 phases and maybe there was a checkpoint in the middle. Even having to repeat those in my case like 30 or 40 times to like get the very precise movement of, okay, here comes the laser, I have to dodge, then I have to jump, then I have to slash down, okay, cool, slow-mo, roll, like it was just very satisfying. And I don't know if you're going to get me to play a Souls game, but like we can have a conversation.
This is a good step towards it. I second Mike's comment that this is maybe a good stepping stone just because the core concept of repeating something that's very easy, but because it's happening so fast and causing chaos, it causes you to mess up. Souls is the same thing. And I want to touch on your feel comment that you talked about, Jacob, how it feels good. It absolutely does. The fact that you have that sword, I think, and you're able to deflect bullets, you can slow down time and see them coming at you kind of thing. It's almost as if like you feel like you have control of this character because it's very responsive to exactly what you want to do when you want it. Like I think the boss that gave me a quick issue where I almost did a search to see how to solve it, but I naturally figured it out was, it was I can't even remember what the character's name was, but it was like on a jetpack and it would shoot a laser cannon that had like a delayed launch. It was like a beam. I think one of the most, so that character, there was a lot of times when it would jump into a corner and just scan the room with a laser beam and just kill with one shot. And I just couldn't figure out, like, I have no deflection, I have no space on the map to get to dodge this. And I realized a simple roll gets you past any of the attacks.
Was that like the final boss, Mo? Like
I think so.
Okay, yeah, Headhunter is the name of that boss. And it had a lot of different phases, like you said. And there were other enemies involved too.
Yeah, and the phases are the ones that kind of get you there. When you realize, oh, I just made it to that checkpoint, like I just have to get through dodging 4 shots and hitting that person 3 times or whatever it might be, you understand, like, I just have to hit this boss 3 times and the game was over. So once you realize, just hit him once, then you'll get your checkpoint. Hit him the second time, you'll get your checkpoint. You kind of break down a heavy task into small ones, and we're just getting into agile development, but for solving and defeating a character.
I love it. And, now that we're on the topic of the headhunter, that final boss, I felt like I was making good progress through all of it. I realized all the steps that I needed, what doors the characters were going to come out of, what types of characters that were going to come out of, how I could tackle the headhunter with the laser beam weapon, like how to juke it so you could get with close enough and hit the strike. It was only at the end when you get that first strike and you attack those two turrets on the left-hand wall that they're in the top of the room, they teleport to the top, and they just shoot a laser beam around. And I tried 1,000,000 times to roll through that beam, and it didn't work. And I just got frustrated. I'm like, it's covering the whole screen. If I can't roll through it, I can't slow time and get around it, I'm done. So I actually looked up the solution. It's like, yeah, you can just roll through this. I was like, what? And the moment I read that you could roll through it, I somehow was able to start rolling through it. I swear that I had tried it ahead of time. But that was the only point that I felt like hitting my head against the wall was not making progress. I wasn't getting closer.
I got so close with that too, Mike, and it literally was an accidental roll through because I really took advantage of slowing down time before starting a fight just to get through the first like barrier, whatever the character was, whatever it might be. So with that boss, every time they would start to attack, I would like slow down time just to read where everything's moving and to see where I can possibly dodge. And in one of the situations, I rolled while doing that. And I was like, aha! Once that happened, that boss slowly became a snowball that I just needed a couple good trends. And then one thing you brought up where you wanted to put yourself in a position to see the next character, I kept getting beat by this boss, but then I saw the door that they kept coming through. So I was like, I'm going to middle the fight, be on the right side on that door, and just smack him as soon as it comes out. And then as soon as I did that, it's like, checkpoint. Like, thanks.
I think the one thing we haven't touched on really explicitly is the story, and I won't lie to y'all, I guess I don't fully, like, there are probably pieces of the story that I kind of breezed over or I didn't remember, but do y'all want to talk in like broad strokes about the story? I know I could, y'all can't see it because it's audio, but like everybody's like, I think that's like a really fair commentary on the game, that like it's a little tropey, but I was surprised at how effective it was. I came in with like 0 expectations and it hit like a 7.
Okay, so this game is very clearly a game that has a ton of internal backstory and narrative and lore that you could dive into. It's also a game that I don't know for sure, but I would highly, highly bet on the fact that there are multiple endings, that there are multiple different like hidden scenarios that you could bump into along the way based on, who you kill, when you kill them, and what dialogue options you choose. I was just not playing this game or this playthrough for that. And I think it's probably really rewarding if you're one of those people that loves that stuff to be able to dive in and find it, because this game has so much style. Like, it's just got so much style. And it's cool.
Yeah, there's one part about it that makes it so cool too, Mike. It's like when you're about to start a level, it seems like your character just like turns on a new track. He's like, 1 second, like, and it plays like some techno, and it tells you who the artist is, the song name, and it's like bomb, chicka, bomb, and it's like, yeah, all right, mission is starting, kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely oozes that style.
Yeah. Mike, you're right that this game has multiple, like, some choices that you can do, which lead to like a little bit of difference in gameplay. I think the biggest two kind of junctures are a place where like 2 masked men who come to you in some kind of delusion and offer you life or death. And that's kind of one fork. And the fork is very simply like, if you choose life, like that person murders all the police that are in front of you that are there to kill you, or you choose death and the game actually like hits the credits early. So that's kind of the first fork. And the second fork, I need to know, did you guys look into or face off against the psychiatrist?
Spoilers. I killed the psychiatrist. I don't know if I had a fight with him.
So what I want y'all to do is I'm going to send you a link because I won't lie, I did not face a psychiatrist, but basically what you have to do is you have to take a series of actions through the game to basically piss him off, and then, in the final section of the game, when you go and approach him, your handler, the one who's been giving you like all the drugs and all your missions, you can go to him and he can transform into this like hideous monster. Are you guys looking at the thing that I'm sending you? Look at some of the phases of that final boss. How would you describe? I'm going to send you video actually, because I think that's like more effective in selling.
What's
like
the Star Fox character?
Andros?
This reminds me of Andros for some reason, just with like the hands in the space.
Yeah, I sent y'all a video. It is like literally the wildest boss battle ever.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Like that little zombie thing at the end, the like brain, I guess, or I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, he essentially like first you face off against hands that like come out at you and try and murder you. Then you face off against eyes, very like Andros like, and then he becomes this like hideous, disgusting like eye, intestine, like multiple mouthed monster, and it's disgusting.
Yeah. See, that's cool. I like the fact that you can like do that. It probably gives you that replayability, but I'm satisfied with it. Like, I don't think I would replay to see that, but it would have been so cool to get that like path or route.
How long did y'all play it? Just out of curiosity,
Yeah,
because I think I played it for maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Can I grab my Switch?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how long it took me.
I think I played it maybe 4 or 5 hours.
I was pretty focused on the 4 hours that I think how long to beat says that it took. I think it took me probably closer to 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But like it's a game that like if you really put your mind to it, like you could beat it in like probably 2 sittings, right?
I mean, if you really wanted to blitz it, I guess you could. But I think
not recommended.
The point you made earlier, that it's the type of game that your brain solves in the background, and when you come to it with some fresh eyes, you quickly get past it. I think it really is that type of game. I think you do a disservice if you try and sprint through it.
Agreed. 100% agree. Mo's actually just looking at how long he played it for on the Switch.
How do you find out on the Switch?
Don't worry about it, but like, you think, what, probably 4 to 6 hours?
I think, to be honest, because I was having a blast and like crushing through it, whatever the time to play minus an hour, I think. Just off the top of my head. Maybe
like 4 hours, you just crushed it.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I was having like, I maybe sat 3 sessions to do it, and like it was a lot of just like getting through the level once to learn it, and then alright, here's my speed run through it, like to get through it. So I didn't have too much of a trouble with the difficulty. I think it was a lot of like just once you understood, I got a rhythm going. Maybe early on I was garbage, but once I got to the end, I never really got stuck except for that laser lady.
Yeah. I'm just gonna give like the quick overview of the story. Incredibly fast paced. You're like a scientific experiment from a past, like from the past. You were given drugs. That side effect is like you can kind of control time, but it made you into a super soldier. The thing that spoilers you discover in the end is that like you were a weapon of like the government in war, and you just like murdered mercilessly, and your whole kind of guidance through the game is to kind of clean up the mess of the government, of all the loose ends related to that drug Kronos. And then you become self-aware, and like, not self-aware, but like you become more aware of you're being manipulated. And then you just decide to take it out on everyone that like has taken it out, who has taken it out on you. Is that like a fair assessment of the story? Pretty much. I feel like we're doing a disservice to it, but there's so much guarantee that we can dive into.
There are these flashbacks that I think your character goes through as they're working through the therapy. And I want to get your take on this. Every time I saw those flashbacks where the scientist comes in, points at the little kid, and says run or hide or yells something, the soldier comes in, kills the scientist, and then you're kind of just left hanging. I thought that whole time that our character, the protagonist, was that little kid.
Okay.
Up until the very end, when you realize that your character is the soldier that's coming in to kill.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Mike. I thought we were that little kid scared, being warned by the scientist kind of thing. And a lot of it was like, okay, I don't understand what's happening. It's going to make sense in the end. I don't know what's happening. And it was kind of just, the story just kept getting kicked down the road. Like the can just kept getting kicked down the road. At the end, it's like, oh, you were the bad guy. It's like, okay, cool. I wasn't that involved in it. I really loved like the game and the mechanics and the gameplay and the flow. But when someone's like, did you like the story? I'd be like, it's a story. I didn't really pay attention. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's the game's fault. I'll say it's my fault because I didn't really care about it at the same way. But that's just how I enjoyed the game. I had a positive experience, and the story wasn't part of it.
Yeah, I would say like
it was.
There are moments where I thought that story was really cool. Like at the end, after like as the credits are rolling and they give you those really stylized like panels of a graphic novel, and there's like a little bit of dialogue and it's clearly giving you some big story beats. I thought that was really cool, even though I didn't quite understand it. It feels like this is something that you would be really rewarded if you paid attention to the story and got into it. But I just didn't in my playthrough.
Yeah, I would say like it was a great vehicle for the gameplay, and like it was my least favorite facet of the game, but that's just not because it was bad. It's just because literally everything else was just so like bangers only. Like graphics were perfect, sound was amazing. Like I'm a huge synthwave fan, so like I love the sound. The gameplay was like so perfect. The length was great. I could go on, but like I guess the story to me was like the thing that took a back seat, only because everything else was just so good.
I love how well animated all of these pixel art characters were. Like the level of detail and attention was amazing, and I think I lost a little bit of that because I was playing it on such a small screen. But I could tell that there was a lot of animation happening even within those little pixels when people were close together.
Yeah, there's like some moments when like I'd look into the Switch screen, like I have it right up to my face, and I can notice like there's like a belt, but it's like 3 pixels long, and they're not even touching. The brown color's not even like touching, kind of thing. Or the pants themselves have like a multicolored design to them. It's not just blue pant. The small little additional details that don't need to be there, but they just give it so much depth, and like you appreciate it if you really look into every single character, like Mike was saying.
Did V, who was like one of the main antagonists, did they have a Vancouver Canucks jersey? I swear that V had a Vancouver Canucks jersey or like Vancouver Canucks colors, but that's probably just me wishing.
It might have just went over my head. I'm not too sure.
Do you know if there's a Canadian connection to this game?
Oh, tell me more.
Oh, no, I don't. I was just asking if you knew if there was.
Oh, I think I might look into this really quickly.
I saw that the credits for this game, it was basically written, programmed, music was composed for it, all by one guy. Obviously, there were some other people involved. I thought the other thing that was kind of funny is I saw iDubbbz as one of the like thank yous. In the credits. The credits are pretty interesting. I would recommend people take a look at them.
Okay, that's a really cool thing to look into. I'll have to look at the credits. I think that covers Katana Zero. If y'all kind of had to just give your wrapping thoughts on it, I know I only asked because Mo, I know that you specifically said you wanted to talk about Hotline Miami and Katana Zero. I'm just going to be really quick and say, love this game. If you've got Xbox Game Pass, you've got no excuse. It is a fun jaunt that will last you 4 hours. If you loved Hotline Miami, like this should be an instant buy. Mo, why don't you tell us the thoughts that you've been saving for this entire episode?
Yeah, so I thought it was a great game, and none of the things I'm about to say will diminish the fact that it's a great game. I was just coming in thinking, like, Hotline Miami I thoroughly enjoy. I love the fast-pacedness. This one was a great, like, new version of it. It was very enjoyable. My only knocks that I kind of I pegged it down below Hotline Miami was the story. I wasn't really that interested. Not to say that Hotline Miami I was glued to the TV, but for some reason Hotline Miami like had a nice flow to it where like the story kept progressing. You kind of learned more as you went at the end. Like it kind of dropped a little bit of information. The 2D platformer, they're great. I just like a little something different than just platformer, and that could be just burnout from playing multiple platformers. I think if you love Hotline Miami, you have to try this out. You're going to like this game too if you liked Hotline Miami. If you didn't like Hotline Miami, you don't like blitzing through levels and like getting beat by one enemy attack kind of thing, it's going to be another game that's not for you. Like, it's once you get over that hump where you're okay with getting hit once because like you messed up a flow, this might be the best game you can play. But until you get to that, just avoid it, because it's going to be another frustrating game that you're not going to like, just like all the other ones are that are great to other people, but maybe not the best for you.
Mike, final thoughts?
I really, really enjoyed the game. I thought it played incredibly well, even streaming it onto a phone screen. And using xCloud, I would recommend it to most people. At least try it out. There's, at least with Game Pass, there's no real cost to try. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been a while since I played a Hotline Miami game, and I think this was a fun little twist on it.
Mike, every time you talk about xCloud, I feel like you should wrap it up with like swipe up to subscribe for $10.99. Like, so.
It's a great value.
The best value in video games, TM. Those are our thoughts about Katana Zero. If you enjoyed this podcast, we've got tons more. You can find those at leftbehindgame.club. You can find us on Twitter at leftbehindclub, on Instagram at leftbehindgameclub. And if you enjoyed this discussion, you can take this discussion into our Discord. The link to that is at leftbehindgame.club/Discord. Mo, again, thank you for setting that up. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
It takes no time. Don't pat me on the back for that
one. Mike, if people want to find you and your work on the internet, where's the best place that they can do so?
Find me at RuffaloM on most social places online, and michaelruffalo.com.
Have you updated your website yet?
It's a placeholder for now. Work's been busy,
I just know
Jacob,
that in
okay?
the past... I know. I just know in the recent future, like a few episodes ago, you're like, ask me how I'm doing, and I'll let you know. So I feel like that was really mean of me to do because I know how busy you are. But someday, 2021,
someday.
Mo, where can folks find you?
You can find me at on most social media platforms at Emratati, or you can find me on the Discord, chatting it up and trying to remember to join Among Us games, because I usually forget day up. Yeah. That's where you can find me.
You can find me on the internet at Jacob McCord on all major social media platforms. I put up this really cool thing on YouTube. It is called Video Game Trivia. It is a video game-based trivia show that I'll be starting to do live on Twitch more often in 2021. You can check out the first episode at youtube.com/Jacob McCourt, and check me out in 2021 live on twitch.tv/Jacob McCourt. I also have another podcast called Cutscenes. It is a video game movie podcast that comes out, season 2 comes out in February of 21, so you can find that at cutscenes.ca. That's a lot of things, man. Busy. I'm busy. So let's close the show. Mike, what do we always say to him?
And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.